evening's guest. I'd like to start just by doing a recap on our agenda here. I want to make sure that all of these roles are filled. So, Sean, you're handling table topics and grammarian?
Yes.
And Cody, you're general evaluator?
Yes, that's correct.
Do we have an evaluator for Lawrence's speech?
Yes.
Reese, thank you. And Cheyenne, you're handling the timers role?
Yes.
Okay. Cheyenne, explain the timers role for our guest, please.
Okay, so the timer, I will be watching the time for each person that goes up and gives their speech. The first speech, is it a 5-minute speech?
5 to 7, yes.
5 to 7, okay. So the first speech will be 5 to 7, and then we'll do table topics, which will be 1 to 2 minutes, and those are improv speeches. So.
All right, thank you, Cheyenne. So Sean, could you explain both the grammarian role and the table topics master role for us?
The grammarian, well, it's the word of the day, right? So,
Part of it, yes.
am I the off counter too?
Do you want to do the odd counter role?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, so the grammarian, it keeps track of grammar mistakes.
And then you'd also provide the word of the day.
And I have the word of the day, and I will be very happy if you use the word of the day.
If we don't even know what the word of the day is.
I'm going to tell everyone what the word of the day is. It's forlorn. It's an adjective. It means desolate or dreary, unhappy or miserable, as in feeling, condition, or appearance, lonely and sad, forsaken, expressive of hopelessness, despairing. I don't know what that, destitute. Some examples are forlorn glances, forlorn of comfort. And table topics are at the end of the meeting, and I will be the table topics master, and I will give table topics, which are questions for those who are visiting today, and they're impromptu question responses, and are limited, we already talked about our time limit, 2 minutes.
Okay, thanks for that, Sean. Gretchen, would you like to explain the odd counter role?
As the odd counter, I will keep track of any filler words that you use, such as like, and so on.
Okay, thank you. Well, let's get right to our first speech. Lawrence, what is your speech topic?
Communication.
Communication. Please give Lawrence a round of applause. Thanks, Lawrence.
Fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, communication is the single most important thing that you can develop in your life. If you're able to communicate, then you are able to do anything. If you're unable to communicate, the reverse is true. You probably will have a hard time doing anything. Communication is critical. Now, there's a lot of different forms of communication. You have body language. Body language can be a form of communication, because if you just have a certain body motion, it portrays a certain amount of your personality or your feelings at that particular moment in time. So body language is a form of communication. Eye contact can be a form of communication. But I think that most people, when they think of communicating with others, they think of verbal communication. Now, it doesn't matter whether you are learning in a school environment, you're living in an environment with other people, whether it's friends or a spouse or whatever. Communication is what's going to make that situation either a good situation for everyone or maybe less comfortable than should be. So communication is critical. Now, one of the things that Toastmasters is famous for is developing our ability to communicate. Now, I'm doing a level of pathways called motivational strategies. And this particular speech is finding my communication style. And so they give a little survey. When you finish that survey, it tells you what kind of communication you are most likely to be able to excel in. Now, strange as it may seem, I got 0 on 2 of the possibilities and 6 on both of the other possibilities. So out of the 4 possibilities and 12 points, I got 6 in each one. So it says that I am a supportive and intuitive speaker or communicator. So I think that's accurate. I think those of you who have heard me speak understand that, or excuse me, not intuitive, but initiating. I'm sorry, supportive and initiating. We'll probably recognize those as being some of my attributes. So the supportive part is being steady, approachable, sincere, and gentle. Now, one of the things that supportive communication highlights is what they call active listening. So, I don't necessarily like conflict, but I can mediate in conflict, according to supportive communication styles. Now, the initiating communicating style is sociable, enthusiastic, energetic, spontaneous, and fun-loving. So that sounds quite a bit like many of my speeches. And I'm often perceived as self-assured, innovative, and persuasive. So that is what those 2 particular communication styles are about. And to go into those in a little bit of my own personality, first let's look at supportive or supporting communication style. I really like the idea that I'm considered as a supportive communicator because I really like helping people. I like to see people succeed. I'm not one of those type people who thinks that your success is going to diminish mine. I always feel that when we speak together, when we all go up together. So if I can support someone and help through my communication to clarify for themselves and become successful, then I also can, in some sense, share in that success. So I always try to support other people. And I think that's one of the other keys to Toastmasters. We're here supporting each other. So when someone gets up here, we don't make fun of them if they make mistakes. We don't give them a hard time. We try to encourage them to overcome those difficulties that they have and create a better self. And when one person becomes better, the whole club becomes better. So I really think that Toastmasters is an ideal format for us to develop communication skills, not just for our club, but for every endeavor in our lives. So let's all together try to develop a better communication style for ourselves and how we can help each other. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Lawrence. Speech, Lawrence. So we'll move on to the table topic session since we don't have a second speaker tonight. So we'll extend the table topics a bit longer. So the table topics will run until we begin the general evaluation at about 7:20. And the table topic session is going to be led by Sean.
Toastmasters, honored guest. I will be doing the table topics tonight. Table topics master tonight. Let me get to my first question. I'm just picking these. What's something new you recently learned about yourself?
So something I recently learned about myself is that I can go 21 days without eating any meat and consuming sugar and some other things. Just drink water, ate vegetables. So I did a 21-day Daniel fast over the past month, and I tried to go cold turkey and coffee, but that didn't quite work out. But I did wean myself off. In about a week and a half, I stopped drinking coffee. So I didn't drink coffee for about half the time. So it was good. So something that I had never tried before, and wasn't sure if I could do it, but ended up getting through it. Learned some new things about myself that can push yourself past some things that you take for granted and some comforts, and learn things about myself in that regards. So, thank you, Mr. Topmaster.
What was your last major accomplishment?
Should be.
Fellow Toastmasters, what was my last major accomplishment? Now, a lot of people, when they get a question like that, they're thinking, did I make $1 million? Did I have some big success in my work? Did I do something else that's really noteworthy and special? But then, there are also some people who might think of a question like that and say, you know, I got out of bed this morning, and I felt good about getting out of bed this morning. That was a major accomplishment for some people. Other people, they may be more inclined to think on the level of, I actually went to work. I might not be happy going to work, but I went to work. So how do you define what is a major accomplishment? It's really difficult because each one of us, in our own way, has to decide whether it's better to get up in the morning, get on the bus with the big hairy spider, or whether it's just good to get out of bed in the morning. Mr. Topic Master. Inside joke.
What makes someone a hero?
Got out of bed this morning.
question that was posed is what makes someone a hero? I would like to throw some aspects of what does not necessarily make someone a hero. Wearing a cape, being immune to kryptonite, that doesn't necessarily make someone a hero. The best aspects of a hero is when someone helps somebody unconsciously, for lack of a better term. Some people will risk it all, sometimes not knowingly. They just see someone that needs help and they run and help that person. So that is a characteristic of what makes a hero, among many other aspects, Mr. Topic Master.
What artistic medium do you use to express yourself?
I've been asked which artistic medium I use to express myself, which is a great question for me because I'm a very artsy person, a very creative person. I have a few artistic outlets. One of them is watercolor painting. I just picked it up last year, so I'm still learning, but it is something that I use because you can use the colors that you can, based on what you're feeling, kind of comes out in the colors that you choose and the types of things that you paint. Another one of my artistic outlets is comedy. So if there is something that I'm feeling strongly about or worried about or think is something that should be addressed, then I will write a skit about it or write a bit about it and share it in a way that other people can relate to it, or take something that may not be funny at face value, but if you think about it, you can make it funny and make it easier to laugh at than you normally can. So, Mr. TikTok says, thank you.
In one word, how would you describe your childhood?
I get 2 minutes.
Protocols here, but
That's good.
there seems to be a rhyme and reason for everything, but I don't quite know it yet. I'm very new to this. I'm not polished by any means, but I was asked what word would define or describe my childhood, and I would probably say challenging. I believe most people's childhoods are challenging in of their own way, whether it be for the aggregation of your family, are you put together or are you scattered, whether it's financial, or whether you're isolated, or whether you are around many loved ones. For me, myself, when I look at my own childhood and I look how I grew, did I grow enough? Did I grow fast enough? What did I learn? What didn't I learn? So when I look at it, the challenging nature of my childhood, I try to remember and not feel bad about it or feel particularly good about it in certain ways. I just try to learn from it, and with my own 2 children, describe to them what I've learned and what hopefully that they can learn and maybe not make the same mistakes or not feel a certain way or feel pressured or feel in any way that they have to struggle in certain facets. So I would describe mine as probably challenging.
next, whom do you secretly envy and why?
What was that again?
Whom do you secretly envy and why? And I'm gonna go ahead and say it can be, it doesn't have to be like a person, it can be a type of, you know what I mean? I'll take this one. So, I'm in, some of you know I'm in engineering. A lot of what we do is, you know, the hardest thing in my job is when I receive some assignment that I've just never seen before, and you have to dissect it. And I guess I envy some people that have the patience to sit there and just spend hours figuring out a problem, and the process of dissecting that problem, coming up with the formula, calling the right people, doing all the research. And my envy comes more so from how does this person sit there and keep digging and keep digging. I am more of a, I want the answer now. I want to move on. So that's who I secretly envy, but now I don't secretly envy. Now you know what I secretly envy. Okay, so next question. How many more do you think?
Got like 5 minutes.
Two?
Maybe 2, okay.
That'll be everyone.
Good one.
Yeah, this is a good one, man.
I have a, yeah. What makes you weird?
My question is, what makes me weird? And I get called weird quite a bit. For wanting to join Toastmasters, people are saying, why do you want to do that? To enjoy public speaking. That's most people's biggest fear. And I love it. Just give me a microphone and an audience, or not, because I can talk to the mirror very well. So just give me a topic that I enjoy, and I love to speak on it. I do, when I made the implication about love and not hate, that is who I am at my soul. Just love everyone and try to express love. So sometimes, especially at my job, currently I'm in a struggle, a tug of war, shall I say. And people often can't understand, but she's been so mean to you. Why are you not upset? Why do you not lash out? Because I have to love with my heart. So that, in most people's eyes, make me weird. I don't get mad when other people do. Slow to anger, and I love to speak public. So that makes me weird.
Okay, this will be our last table topic. Who depends on you? I'll answer. I'll answer it, I guess. So, I would say that I'm going to put this in we have a dog and a cat at our house, and they are just extremely needy. and have their quirks. I would say that's who depends on me, but not so much me, my wife especially. It's a burden. It's a burden in a way on us because our dog has to be walked every night or she'll do her business in the house. So we always have to walk our dog. And then our cat likes to sleep in the bed and get in our face and just needs a lot of love and attention. So they depend on us a lot for love and attention and to satisfy their needs, quirks. And that's who depends on us. That's a wrap, huh?
Thank you,
Mr.
Sean.
Toastmaster.
Yes, good job, I appreciate it. So we'll move on to the evaluation portion of our meeting, and that will be led by Cody.
Before I do the general evaluation, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our first evaluator who's going to evaluate Lawrence's speech for tonight, and that is going to be Maurice. So let's welcome Maurice.
Thank you. Fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, I have been given the privilege to evaluate Lawrence's Level 2 speech entitled Find Your Communication Style. And before I go through the comments, I'll just briefly go over the evaluation form, page 2, where he is rated 1 through 5. 1 being developing. It's not excellent to poor, it's developing to exemplary. So number 1 is developing, 2 is emerging, 3 is accomplished, 4 excels, 5 exemplary. And they have very specific meanings. To get a 5, you would have to be as good as, let's say for example, a presidential speech. Depending on who the president is, I'll just say, I mean, a leader of a nation. Let's say, for example, JFK, his inaugural speech, that'd be either 4 or 5. Now I will go into the general comments. Well, let me go into the purpose statements. The purpose of this project is for the member to learn about different communication styles and identify his or her primary style. And the purpose of this speech is for the member to share the impact of his or her style on others. And then now I'll go into the general comments. You excelled at audience engagement and strong audience interest in the speech by their attention and responses. You may want to work on vocal variety. Although it was existent, it could have been increased more. To challenge yourself, add a little more enthusiasm, although it was present during the speech. As far as the rankings, I gave 3 down the line accomplished, because he is an accomplished speaker. For clarity, the comment that I have is the language was consistently clear and understood throughout the speech. For vocal variety, small variations in tone, constant volume, moderate speed. Eye contact, maintain eye contact most of the time when not looking at the notes. He did have notes, apparently. Gestures, used increased hand movements at appropriate times, otherwise hand movement was minimal. So throughout most of the speech, when he didn't hit a high point, his hands were pretty much still. but when he hit a high point, then you saw the increased hand movements. Audience awareness. Through his eye contact, the speaker was made aware of how the audience responded and how they were impressed. Comfort level, the speaker was comfortable with the audience throughout the speech. Interest, the audience responded well to the speech. Topic, since the topic of his speech was on communication, he shared several aspects of his communication style. And that is the evaluation of Lawrence's speech. Mr. General Evaluator.
Great job, Maurice. Thanks for that detailed explanation. And I appreciate you going over the levels because I always forget what's what. So, especially for our guests that doesn't know what the levels are. All right. So we do not have a second evaluator. So we'll now move on to the timers report. Cheyenne, can you give us an evaluation of the timer?
Yes. Lawrence, your speech was 6 minutes and 28 seconds. And then for the table topics, Cody, yours was 54 seconds. Lawrence, yours was 1 minute and 25 seconds. Maurice, yours was 1 minute and 4 seconds. Mine was 1 minute and 10 seconds. Dawn, yours was 1 minute and 24 seconds. Sean, your first one was 1 minute and 32 seconds. Olivia, yours was 1 minute and 9 seconds. And Sean, your second one was 1 minute and 26 seconds. And then the evaluation, Maurice, was 3 minutes and 56 seconds.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Gretchen, can you please go over to the grammarian, or the odd counter report?
Yes. During Lawrence's speech, there were not any true filler words, but you did repeat a couple phrases, and one was one of the, and one was that's. And then you did use now and so at the beginning of a lot of sentences, but I don't really think that those were filler words.
Okay.
During table topics, Cody, you had one so at the start. Lawrence had none. Maurice had none. Cheyenne had one and one so at the end. Dawn, you had one Very good. Sean had one so at the very beginning and two ahs. And then a couple of double words. One was and one was my. Olivia, you had one so, and one Sean, and I couldn't click you because you were speaking.
Oh, sorry.
Sean, no, that was good. And Sean, on your second one, you had one two us, and Maurice's evaluation, I didn't pick up anything.
Thank you, Gretchen. Great detail on the report. Sean, do we have any words of the day?
We did not use the word of the day.
Okay. So better luck next week on the word of the day.
I guess
I'm very forlorn.
yeah, we're forlorn about that. That's for sure.
All right, so that is the evaluations, and for the general evaluation of the meeting, we got started on time, which is always great. We went over some business, so like Lauren said, the district conference is going to be in Mobile, so if you want to attend one, this would probably be the best one to do it. There's no excuses, no travel needed. In the speech contest, we're going to try to have it on February 25th. Great invocation, Lydia. Appreciate that when you start bringing that back. So we're going to make a note, try to do that for following meetings. Lawrence, thank you for that speech. Now I know a little bit more about your speaking style. You're supportive and initiating, which makes sense. So thanks for that explanation. And also to our guest, Don. Great job coming up here for your first time. It's always nerving and getting out there, so we really appreciate that, and hopefully you'll return to our following meetings. That ends the general evaluation, and I will now relinquish the lectern to our table topics, our Toastmaster Justin.
Cody, do we have any awards to present tonight?
So, no, we already did yours. No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I will invite you back up to the podium to close out our meeting.
All right.
Do you have you don't have an educational overview? Anybody have an educational overview?
Do you want to talk about the pathways, adding your
I can do that.
roles.
I can do that. Maybe. I don't know if you'll be able to see it because I only have a small page, but I can do it. I can do it. Okay. Uh-oh. Maybe I don't have internet. Public network.
While Lawrence is
It
pulling
says
that up,
yes.
I thought I would just mention something in the a decorum part of the meeting. So we always try and keep the podium occupied. And when someone approaches the podium, the person who's there stays, and we'll shake hands and trade it off. So it's always occupied, and it's always a focus for me. It's kind of awkward if someone walks away and leaves.
No, I don't have an internet connection.
Okay, no problem.
But I can talk about it.
Okay.
It just won't have visuals. Let's see how descriptive I can be.
All right, Lawrence?
All right, now, as many of you know, when you go into your base camp, you'll have your different boxes that give you an opportunity to go into evaluations, go into your path, and so on. Now, if you click in that and go into your path, if you look up in the right hand, just below the title page, the title, on the right hand side, there's a little search position, and next to it, there's a little gear. If you click on that gear, then it gives you a menu. And one of the things in that menu is your profile. If you click on the profile, it comes up with your name and some other information about you. But most people, that's as far as they get, because it does give you the opportunity to go in and edit your profile. But if you're not aware of it, you may not know, but when you scroll down on that page, once you get to the lower part of that page, you're going to have little things that say Toastmaster, counter, grammarian, speaker, etc., etc. And then you can go in there and log in on a date when you have done those things. And by doing that, it gives Toastmasters a record of what you have done. And so it's part of your pathways record. Now, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that it zeroes itself out at the end of each path, or at each level of the path, because I went in there recently after I moved up to level 2 in motivational strategies, and all the positions were blank again. So now I have to go back through and fill all of them in once again during this level. So I don't think it is a requirement in every level to be able to do that and fill out all of those positions, but I think it is something that we as individuals that want to improve ourselves, that we could spend the extra minute or two every now and then when we go in, to go in and fill those spaces in and make it a goal to finish all of those different positions in every level that we do in our path. Any questions? Marvelous. Mr. Toastmaster. All right, I guess we're still back at Toastmaster. Okay, Mr. Toastmaster. I wasn't sure
Thanks,
if we were
Lawrence.
president or
We can always count on you for being able to impromptu some information for us. Appreciate you having that ability to speak off the top of your head on topics like that. And I think the main thing when it comes to the Toastmasters and the Easy Speak So if you just get on there, read through it, start clicking on things, you're not going to hurt anything or damage anything, and you just get used to how that particular page is set up and how that software works. But Easy Speak is a great tool, and I really noticed the difference. The clubs that I've talked to that don't use that software, they're so much less organized. It takes so much more effort to structure their meetings and get their agendas filled out.
That or the other one too, what is it, Free Toast Host?
Oh, I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, there's another, that's the one that's, I think that's almost the official Toastmasters.
I see.
Although it's not really official, but that's the one that they talk about the most. But both of them work very well.
Well, Easy Speak for being free is pretty impressive. Somebody gets a lot of it with that. So I'll invite Cody up to close us out. Cody?
It's been a great meeting, and I don't have anything further to say. So.
Okay, just one quick little note. I just happened to call somebody late last week for a different reason, but I talked to Thomas, and he informed me that he's getting ready to move to Texas. I don't know, within a relatively short time, I don't know, but he's going to move to Texas. That was our former president.
Thomas Jester.
Yes.
And I think his number is the one that's still on your website for this club. So I know you talked about removing his number because when I was trying to find more information, that's who I spoke with. He's
Oh,
in Birmingham,
okay,
I think.
okay.
Right.
Talk about on which page?
When I went to this club site for Hilltoppers.
Oh, okay,
Right,
okay,
and then it
okay.
said contact us, and I think Thomas is in Birmingham now? Is that where he is?
Tom, he's a friend of mine at the office. He is gonna move to the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Yeah.
Well,
He just had his
whomever,
third baby. so-
Okay, but I'll look that up.
yeah, whomever is on there, I talked to
Okay.
him and he was in Birmingham and he said that,
Oh, it's Mark.
just to come on in.
Probably
but-
Mark.
Yeah, Mark, yeah, might be.
Okay, I don't know why I thought it was
Yeah.
Thomas.
Really old. So.
Okay.
Remember Mark DeVoe?
Oh,
Skype.
right. Yes, okay.
Okay. Before we close, we want to try to fill the roles for next week. So, does anyone have anything they would like to do?
First of all, is there anyone who has a speech ready or can have a speech ready by next Monday? Don't all jump up and shout at once.
I'm out of town.
Yeah.
Huh? You're out of town?
I'm gonna try for the next.
Okay, so you're gonna try for 2 weeks. I'll pencil you in for 2 weeks from now. That's 6, sound good?
Sure.
Okay. And that's gonna be whatever's the next one on your list. You did your icebreaker, so it's gonna be your evaluation speech, right? I think that's correct. I think that's correct.
I haven't prepared it.
But that's an easy one to prepare. So, okay, so nobody's particularly got a speech yet. Does anybody want to be Toastmaster for next week?
I can
Boy, we're batting 100 here.
Toastmaster.
All right, does anybody want to be grammarian? Who wants to be grammarian?
I'll be general evaluator.
Okay.
I'll take grammarian.
Okay. Anybody who wants to be our counter?
I'll do it.
You want to be a... And how about timer? Do we have anybody that wants to be timer? That's going to be here next week? That's an easy one. You want to be, okay. We'll put you in as a timer, and that's all we got.
I'll do table topics.
You want to do table topics? Okay. All right. We got it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Lawrence. And with that, we will now adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everyone.